All right. For a long time, I've hated the word lazy. Why did I hate it? Well, I used to do a different kind of work. I would do evaluations for ADHD and learning problems. And a lot of people with ADHD, they got labeled by their parents or their teachers as lazy. So they internalize a sense of defectiveness. In reality, they had more problems focusing on a task or getting started or sticking with a task as opposed to it being some kind of character flaw. It was just part of their wiring. And it's the same if you have a learning disability or some kind of medical problem that limits you in your life. But lately, as I've gotten more into coaching, I've begun to revisit this whole concept of laziness. Because when I look at myself, there are definitely things that I have half-assed in life and that I could have put in more effort. And now I am putting in more effort and I'm more productive. I'm more tenacious, I'm more resilient. So, was I being lazy before? We're going to talk about this. I'm your host, Ari Graff. I'm joined with my co-hosts, Chuck and Faisal. The three of us are certified No More Mr. Nice Guy coaches, and we're dedicated to helping men become the best versions of themselves. So, Chuck, do you hate the term lazy? Do you love it?
Yeah, I don't think I mean, it has this really negative connotation to it, doesn't it? Like this idea of being lazy is defective in some way. And I think that, when it comes to the nice guy syndrome, right, core belief is I'm unlovable, acceptable just the way that I am. So if people are telling me I'm lazy, then to me, that's something that just kind of adds to that shame piece of, look, I really am lazy. I really am defective. So I don't like the word lazy. I prefer the word vacation.
Do you have a better word for it?
Nothing's coming to mind, but maybe we need to think of one.
How about
Faisal,
how,
what do you think? Yeah,
how about energy conserver?
that's very
So
kind.
I don't like laziness. I don't like it in myself. I don't like it in other people. I'm going to be just direct with that. I shame myself when I'm lazy. I shame others for being lazy because I see laziness as sloppy, as, immature. And I see laziness as, you know, let's go back 10,000 years ago. And the lazy man didn't get fed. He wasn't the greatest provider. He wasn't the greatest protector. He wouldn't have earned respect amongst the tribal men and the tribal women, because the lazy man would have been the person who would have put the tribe at risk by not going out hunting, not being sloppy in his habits and his principles. So to me, laziness, maybe I just have a different perspective of it, but I not very kind with laziness.
I kind of knew that going into this, that you were anti-laziness, not anti-lazy, the term.
Yeah.
And you were pro-shame also.
Yeah. I'm selective pro-shame on this one. Hey, listen, okay, I know we talked about shame as well. Shame has a light side and a dark side, right? The dark side of shame is toxic, toxic shame. The light side of shame, I believe that shame is a really good way of gauging what would be, say, maybe effective or right in a certain amount. For example, if you had, you wouldn't stand up and dance naked in a dinner or something, going into a restaurant. So that's shame helps us to gauge that. So there's aspects of, I believe that shame is needed because that'll help build resilience. That'll help build, insight into us.
Such a great point. I'm so glad we have a pro-shame faction on the Nice Guy Show. No, but totally right. I mean, there's people who are lacking in shame that really could use some.
Yeah. There's people. Yeah, here was another thing was I was in like social shame. I was on a sitting down, working away, and there was this guy in this. I was in the central London, co-working with a lot of people. He's on the phone, right, really loud, shouting away, having a conversation. No social awareness, no fact that he's upsetting people. There was no shame in that one. So I gave him the dirty shame look, the pro shame look.
And he shut right up.
Well, no, he didn't.
So are nice guys constitutionally lazy? Is that an aspect of nice guy syndrome?
I don't think so, because I'm working with a couple of clients. I'm working with some guys, and they are on it. They're on the ball. They, whatever I give them, they just run with it. Right? They run with it. They always deliver. They deliver on time, and they're doing really well in their, like for example, their physiques are really well. They're doing really well in their health and fitness.
It's not just because they want to please Faisal Kokar.
It's probably that as well. It's probably driven by I would say, a shame fracture or something like that. But the fact is that there are some aspects. Some of them go too far. Maybe some of them do go too far on that one. But laziness, I see. When you were talking about laziness, what was coming up for me was my children. Sometimes they can be really sloppy and lazy. And I'm sitting there going, hey, when I was your age, I had so much ambition. I wouldn't sit there just consuming TV, eating food. I'd be sitting, I was doing a full-time job, commuting an hour each way. I was doing a degree as well, and setting up a business. I was doing these 3 things and looking after the house. What's your excuse?
I think something we're getting at is that laziness underlying it can be a learned helplessness or a learned incompetence. I believe that I have some of that, and it gets in the way of me trying new things, trying hard things.
I think that there's, I wish I had someone to draw on here, but there's, if you think of a quadrant, all right, there are 2 motivating factors. There's important and fun, all right? So things are either important and fun, important, not fun, or not important, not fun, or so those
Keeping track, Faisal.
Keeping track, yeah. So, but the point is that oftentimes the highest motivating thing is something that's important and fun. All right, something that's fun and not important is what I think kind of constitutes laziness. All right, so it's fun for me to scroll on social media, but it's not important. It's not fun for me to do my taxes, but it's important. So the things that are not important and not fun, those are the ones that I'm going to avoid the most. The second thing I'm going to avoid are the things that are important but not fun. So my taxes, I avoid those. Why? They're not fun. I don't get any kind of hit off of that. And it's really about the dopamine hit that we get. If something's fun and important, then we get a reward from that. But if it's not fun and not important, then we get no reward. So it's really difficult to motivate yourself in something that's not fun and not important. So as a kid and as a teenager, you think, well, it's not fun and it's not important to clean up after myself. As a father, you say it is important, and it's, I don't care that it's not fun. It's something that you have to do anyway. And I think that it's been really helpful for me to sort of like label these things. I was having a conversation with my wife about this and the other night, and she said, can you do this? I forget what it was, but I'm like, honey, that is not fun, nor is it important. So I'm not going to have a lot of motivation to do that. But the trick is if you can make it important and fun. Okay. So, hey, we're going to clean up the kitchen. We're going to put on some music. We're going to dance. We're going to have a great time doing this. Now I got all the reward of the dopamine. Afterwards, we're going to go and we're going to, have a reward. That can be something that can help motivate you. But I think in terms of the idea, are nice guys lazy? I think that nice guys in general oftentimes lack ambition. And Faisal, you brought that out, that they see the work that goes into something as being not fun and not rewarding. So why would I do that? And it's a bit of a mind shift to be able to move yourself into a place of, okay, this is important. It's not fun, but it needs to be done.
Yeah. This is one of the lessons I learned only recently. Was there are some aspects that I hate doing, taxes and accounts and things. I'm like, I show up lazy in there. There's aspect of my life I do show up lazy, and I really detest that part. What I learned was immaturity is wanting the instant gratification stuff. It's the one that I don't want to have any resilience to. I want the easy, smooth, anything that's a stumbling block or difficult. I don't want to do that. This is the same thing I have with the guys I help. I'm helping them, after a divorce or a breakup. Hey, let's get back in the dating game. Yeah, but I don't want to go out, or I don't want to do this. Well, how are you gonna meet a woman, right? So they're there, not wanting to do any social interactions, not go out. And I asked the guys, like, how many times have you been out socially in the last 12 months? Usually they answer in a single digit, if that. How many dates have you been on? Well, maybe about 2. I said, what, 2 a month? No, a year. And a laziness really shows up there. And I think, like you were saying, and I'm quite intrigued about when you mentioned about AD and ADHD or something like that. But I noticed that there's a lot of shame and there's a lot of perfectionism that comes in. Hey, if it's not going to be done perfectly, then I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to approach it.
And that's because, again, of the reward of, if I'm going to be judged or ridiculed or shamed by somebody, why would I put myself out there? And I think that so much of what we do as human beings is based on reward or not reward, and it's just written into our DNA and to our psychology. So if you see a guy that's resisting, recognize that what's happening for him is the reward he's getting isn't significant enough to. So if he goes out on it, so say he's gone out in 10 dates, right? And in 10 dates, he hasn't found one woman that is, somebody that he's attracted to or likes, or that maybe he likes them, they don't like her. Maybe he likes her, they don't like him.
Is there a quadrant for this?
Quadrant.
Yeah.
That then the reward system is like, well, I'll go on a date, but what do I get out of it? I'm gonna pay a bunch of money for somebody that doesn't want to see me again. So there's going to be resistance, and wherever there's resistance, I think that's the part that, as nice guy coaches, we have to lean into and help our clients lean into, where the resistance is. So the laziness. So to say nice guys are lazy, what I would say is nice guys hate tension, any kind of tension. They do whatever they can to kill the tension, right? And when you kill tension, you're inevitably killing the attraction and the attachment, and you're not growing, because you only grow in spaces of tension. So I would say nice guys hate tension, which therefore comes off as laziness.
I think one thing we're getting at is nice guys are not a homogenous group. They're not all one thing.
Right.
And one thing that I think we've all noticed is that nice guys can be integrated in certain areas of their life, and healthier in some areas of their life, and then totally nice guy another aspect of their life. They could be a leader and really strong at work, but at home they're just capitulating and in the doghouse. So it's interesting how that can break down. One thing that I like about the coaching approach with nice guys, we're teaching them about how to put effort in. We're teaching them skills, and we're setting goals. And we're not, we're teaching them that to be a masculine man requires putting effort in and doing the hard stuff. So that's what I really like about this nice guy coaching approach. Is that
Yeah.
that's built in? You know what I mean?
I like that too because, again, going back to the idea of reward, okay, the reward isn't that I get the girl, or the reward isn't that, I make a lot of money. The reward is I've done the thing that was difficult for me, and as a result of that, I've grown into be more of a man of integrity, more of a man who's integrated. And so when we look at that reward, then that it becomes more about the process than it is the outcome.
When you were talking about, like tension and being able to do the hard stuff as well, one of the observations I had was that the the when nice guys have a volatile nervous system, or when they're more anxious, they tend to display more signs of laziness, because in that moment of inactivity, not being active, they're able to be more calm. And in that calm state, they're not, experiencing a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension. So therefore, if I don't do a lot of things, one, I want to experience a lot of tension. I want to experience a lot of, anxiety or stresses. And being in the safe mode, therefore, I am a lot more safer and calmer and grounded in this aspect of it. So I noticed that. Have you noticed that as well? With guys with an anxious nervous system can display a lot of laziness traits.
Yeah, I think there's a connection there, and I like that we're teaching them to tolerate tension, not just tolerate it, but accept it and even embrace it. That this is part of life, part of a good life, part of good relationships with women and relationships in general. So to me, that's kind of a radical shift, is to even embrace tension. That's not something that the broader culture really supports right now. Now I'm going on a cultural tirade, I guess, but yeah, I think there are things in the culture that reinforce laziness. What do you think?
Yeah, I would so say that, because now we're in a society where everything has to be soft and gentle, and our sensitivity level is so low. Our threshold for sensitivity to handle pain is way too low. It's easier if I become passive, if I don't do anything, not experience all the pain and guilt. For example, going out, socializing, meeting, going back into the dating market, it takes a lot of resilience. It takes a lot of rejection, a lot of pain. And that pain threshold will, a lot of guys don't have the tolerance. And that's what, I say to my kids as well. I'm not going to make it easy for you. I'm not going to make a lot of things. You need to, get yourself burnt in order for you to learn. And it's that pain threshold. Nowadays, kids and even, nice guys, the pain threshold is way too low and not pushing themselves.
And I think a lot of that also comes from, to Ari's point, of the culture. When you look at Instagram and social media and things like that, it's like, I only had to work 1 hour a week and I make it $1 million a week by posting, stuff on Instagram. So they make it about like it's easy. And if it's not easy for you, then there's something wrong with you. And so I think that's the part. Now, when I was growing up, I was good at a few things. I was good at art, I was good at drawing. And so I was really encouraged in those things. But something that was hard for me, okay, like say sports or something along those lines, that was more difficult for me. Instead of getting better at it, because of that tension of not feeling good, I would just quit. And I would only focus on the things that I was good at. And so I would start something. If I wasn't good at it right away, I didn't get it right away, I would quit. And what I've learned as an adult, that doesn't serve me very well. And that part of the learning process is being really bad at something in the beginning and practicing and gaining your skills around that. And I think that makes you a much more broader, interesting person when you've got a lot of different things that you've created a skill set around. So even if it isn't easy, that you lean into it and you do the thing that isn't easy, and the reward then is that you become a more interesting, well-rounded person.
Yeah, it's such a great point. I think, one of the things that I'm talking about here is that people can develop an identity as lazy or low effort. And, we're teaching people to shift their identity to being persistent, being tenacious, being high effort. That those are things that can be learned. Those are skill sets or attitudes that can be learned. And we don't want people to view themselves as lazy or less than. So you can have a disability or limitation that makes life harder, but you don't have to adopt that identity of laziness. I think that was the main thing that I wanted to get across today.
I think it's a great point. We have we adopt personas, or we adopt ideas about ourselves, beliefs about ourselves, and then they become these sort of self-fulfilling prophecies. So if I've been told I'm lazy and I feel lazy, then I'm going to act lazy. And by helping people, men, shift out of a persona of I'm just lazy or I'm not good at something, into more of, like you were talking about, the resilience, the tenacity, the not giving up, that's what I would sort of separate out from the laziness in the the ability to continue to move forward in the tension of growing in a particular area, even when you're not necessarily good at it at first.
All right, great talk, guys. We just cranked out 3 podcasts in one day. That's not laziness. Thank you, Faisal, for pushing us. Thanks for shaming us a little bit too. We needed that. And thanks everybody for being part of the Nice Guy Show. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast or podcast platform, make sure to subscribe there as well. And go to theniceguyShow.com to get on the mailing list. If you like this podcast, check out our previous podcast, number 31, Get Your Balls Back. And we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to The Nice Guy Show with certified Nice Guy recovery coaches Ari Graff, Chuck Chapman, and Faisal Kokar. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so you can listen to our latest episodes, and visit us on www.theniceguyShow.com. If you have any topics you'd like to hear us discuss, send us an email at support@theniceguyShow.com. Thanks for listening.